Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Don't mind the mess. This house is just a work in progress. This is currently my kitchen, which should be in that room over there, but it's over here for now. Anyway, I want to sort of start this video off by explaining what you sort of need before you even start thinking about changing the hydraulic lifters. I've not seen many videos on this, which is why I kind of wanted to document it, even though I didn't get as much video footage as I wanted to, sort of explaining it and how the job went, but hopefully I can sort of piece things together to make it a bit easier if you want to do the job yourself, because on some cars it involves taking your cams out to get to them and to remove them, but with a 4G63 they're right in front of you. So for me it was sort of a no-brainer to try that job, but if you don't have the right tooling, if you don't have the patience and etc, I wouldn't try it personally, because you are inside the engine, and if you get shit inside your engine or if you fuck something up, which is very likely or possible to happen, then I wouldn't try it. But anyway, so I got my lifters from Rossport. They do, or they have, a lot of the old stock for Evos, the 4D63 engines, so you'll find that they have the majority of the parts that you're looking for. This is the tool. As you can see, it says Z Performance on it. Now, I don't think these are genuine. I got this, I paid £40 for this, just this tool. It came, in the description, it said it had a improved design and it's 4mm thick. Now it said the original tool is a Sheely, I think that's how you pronounce it, Sheely. I'll try and put a picture up of the original tool that you will need, not this one. Although if you go onto Z Performance's website, they don't sell these with a 4mm thickness because it doesn't fit, as I found out. I had to mill this down, if you can see, or I didn't mill this down, I got my dad to mill it down, because it should not be 4mm thick. This tool has to be lower than 2mm. If it's any more than 2mm, you're not going to fit it in between your engine block and your lifter. Now what you have got to be wary of with these valve stems is they have a collet round them which holds the spring in place, I believe. So when you press down, so when this sits sort of underneath your cam shaft, so when you pull this upwards, a lever motion, it sits here, and this pushes down on your valve spring. You have to make sure that that collet doesn't move, otherwise your valve stem will fall into the engine. Now this didn't happen with me, but I've heard it written on some forums that it's a possibility it may happen. It didn't happen to me, but you have to be careful. So that's why I use the tool. You'll see some people on YouTube use a flathead screwdriver and a rag. I don't work like that. I like to use the proper tool. If there's a proper tool for the job, you use it. As you can tell, I milled this tool down to 2mm. So this was originally 4, I milled it down to 2. Well, I got my dad to mill it down to 2. Now I should have milled it down further because I did have to file more off, because on the final set of hydraulic lifters to try and get out, between the housing and the valve, it wouldn't fit. So the gap is smaller on the opposite end to where your pulleys are. So I had to, well, I got my boyfriend to file it down a tiny bit more. It was still quite tight. Another thing you've got to be careful of is your engine housing is really soft. So when you look inside your engine, there is sort of a border. If you put this too far in, this will take a chunk out of your engine block and leave metal remnants inside your engine, which you don't want. So you have to be really careful. Get a torch, take the time that you need to not gouge a massive scratch into your engine block. Like I say, I tried my best to get the footage that I could to show you guys how I did it to help other people, because there's some videos on YouTube that just don't help whatsoever. I'll talk you through what the video shows. A lot of it's missed out because some of the footage may have accidentally deleted by me deleting it. But yeah, it's not a difficult job, but you need the right tools, environment, and you have to be set up and ready to have your engine open to the elements, basically. I'll be doing a voiceover for this and I'll show you some of the footage. So this is going to be sort of a mix of a voiceover / just watching what I'm doing, basically. Now, unfortunately for me, this job came at a time where my garage has not been built yet, so I had to resort to this very old gazebo that was kindly gifted from my dad from all of the motorbike meetings we used to go to as a child. It's been to the Isle of Man, it's seen a lot of things, and yeah, as you can tell, it's been very weathered. This job has come along because my Mitsubishi Evo 6 has got really loud lifters. I'll insert a clip of the sound that the engine was making. From factory, the hydraulic lifters only have a 1mm hole. I've probably mentioned this before. And the replacement has a 3mm hole. If you have a 4G63 or any 4G engine, you'll understand the pain. This is me basically figuring out that the tool is not fit for purpose and it doesn't fit between the housing and the actual valve stem to compress the spring. So I had to go away, get it milled down to the correct size, which was 1.5mm or 1.6mm. So what you can see here is me trying to compress a spring that is already compressed because the cam lobe is in the wrong position. So that's another thing that you have to consider when you're doing this job, is that you'll need to turn the engine round so your cam lobes don't compress the spring. With the spring compressed, it means that the rocker arm essentially is in an upwards position, so it's really difficult to get the rocker arm off the head of the hydraulic lifter. Now, I actually managed to get this one off, and look how satisfying this is. Wait for it. So satisfying. Anyway, so you see me struggling with this rocker arm now to try and get it back in. And I struggled with this for a long time because surely I got it out, I can get it back in, right? Nope, couldn't do it. It kept slipping, we were stressing. At the time, we were like, oh no, surely if it's come out, we can put it back in. So you'll see in a minute. We jack the car up and we take a wheel off and then we rotate the engine slightly. So this is me failing again with my little magnet, and then you'll see me turning the engine to the correct position so that the lobes are not compressing the spring, which is just brilliant, isn't it? The technique is sort of a leverage on the camshaft to push down the spring. So you're pushing away from you on this side and then you're pulling towards you on the other. Now that's just to compress the spring to make room for this rocker arm to sort of slide in and then click into place. You'll see me sort of locate it on the front and then go round to the back and sort of wiggle on the spring so that it seats properly on top of the hydraulic lifter. Now you'll be able to see this one a lot clearer. You can see how it slots in between the block and your cam, and then I'm just wiggling it around there just to seat it. I'm looking at the back of the engine block to make sure it doesn't hit that, and then you just lift it up and then literally your rocker arm just comes off and then you retrieve it And after that, you take your little hydraulic lifter out and pop your new one back in and do the same thing but backwards. Just make sure that when you're doing this, I did it essentially one out and then one in. So that meant that I wasn't mixing any of the rocker arms up. They were all going back to their original places. I've seen a YouTube video where a dude takes them all out, gets them all mixed up, puts them all back in, says don't worry about it. But if you've had an engine from factory and it's worn into each rocker arm and each rocker arm is now happy in its place, leave them in its place. Just make sure you're putting it back in the right places is what I can recommend to you. I don't know if it'll make a difference, but to me, from factory, you just put everything back in the same way. Once you've done one, you're basically just repeating the whole process again with compressing the spring, take your rocker arm out, replace your hydraulic lifter, compress your spring again, and then put your rocker arm back in. So I did as many as I possibly could, and then towards the end I basically just had to file down a bit more on this tool as it didn't fit in the last two gaps between the block and my valve stem. So I got Steve to kindly file this down for me because it just wouldn't budge. I did try, but there's no way I was going to damage my block for no reason. With the tool shaved down a little more, I was able to progress to the other side. Now this is just making sure your lobes are all in the right place, and I was essentially steaming through this at this point. I wanted to get it done. It was blowing an absolute gale. I had my engine open. I was, panicking. I really wanted to get it done so I could put my cam cover back on and basically just get the car back up and running. This was essentially a 2-week job at this point because the tool wasn't right. Now that's not Z Performance's fault that the tool wasn't right, because actually if you buy it from their website, they do not sell a 4mm thick hydraulic lifter tool, removal tool. They only sell the correct width. Now I don't know why this eBay seller was selling them, because I messaged him and said they are not fit for purpose, it doesn't fit, and he just said, well, no one's complained about it before, so what can you do? I've told him, basically, don't buy this one from the eBay seller, buy it from either Sealy in America or find someone who's already got the tool, because it's not worth the money to do the job once. You might as well get someone to do it, but it's not a difficult job. As you can see, I'm steaming through it now, and I'll just let you enjoy the rest of the video basically, and try and get your bearings if you are trying to learn how to do it. It's not a difficult job. Look at little old me, I'm able to do it, and so can you. Opening the elements, no garage, no luxuries, literally just me and a few bare tools. So, enjoy! are with them all in place, and just to make sure that everything was sort of seated and happy, we just turned the engine over a few times just to make sure everything's moving, everything's happy, everything's seated. And yeah, along with this job, obviously, new gaskets. You don't do a job like this and use the old gaskets. Use new gaskets. So I got mine again from Rossport, genuine parts, obviously. We don't skimp out on gaskets because they literally hold all your blood for your engine in there. You also want to make sure that everything is clean before you put your rocker cover back on. You don't want anything that's going to be in the way. You don't want any oil on there. Get everything nice and clean before you mate the two faces together. And essentially, you're working back from all the pictures you took beforehand, all the bolts that you very neatly organised, hopefully, into little pots, so you don't forget any. And with that, it's almost time for the final start. Now, this is the most terrifying part of the whole job, because Rossport even say in the description, it is normal for your engine to have low compression after you've changed your hydraulic lifters. So here's the first start. Now listen to the difference. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.